Oh, great. Thank you so much, Sadie. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much. It's wonderful. Um, well, good morning, everyone. Hey, Courtney, I see you there. How you doing? I am Sean Bostic, Family Engagement Coordinator with Hamilton County DD Services, and along with my comrade here, I'll say, Courtney Hyman, we're here to talk about disability awareness and etiquette. So, just a real quick look at the agenda here. Um, what is a developmental disability? Disability etiquette. Why is disability etiquette important? The importance of community support. We are all different, but really the same. It's a quote. We have a discussion about that. And after that, questions and answers. And I'm okay with people wanting to ask me a question in between. I don't mind that at all. So if you have a question, if you want to put it in the chat, maybe Sadie can address it or Courtney can address it, and we can answer your question from there.
I'd be happy
All
to.
right.
Hey, Sean, would you mind hitting your PowerPoint in the presenter mode?
Okay. How do I
It,
do that?
yeah, down, down at the bottom of your screen, it looks like a little slide or like movie screen. Yeah, that
This
one.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. That's much better. I think we did this the last time. Yeah. All
It
right.
takes a village.
It does take a village. And I just hit enter to go to the next slide, right?
Yeah, or an arrow,
Okay.
I
All
think.
right.
Yeah. Thanks,
Okay.
Sean.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. So the question is, what is a developmental disability? According to the according to the Developmental Disability Act, a developmental disability is a severe chronic disability that originates before the age of 22 and is expected to continue indefinitely. It must be caused by physical or mental impairment or a combination of both, and it must result in substantial limitations in three or more major life activities. So usually, when um, someone is interested in receiving services from Hamilton County DD, and I'm same with Butler. One of the main questions is like, how do I get services? How do I become eligible to receive services through Hamilton County or Butler? And this is it right here. And our wonderful eligibility department, they cover all that with anyone who's interested in receiving services from us. Okay. Disability etiquette. Demonstrate patience and why. So when you're talking with someone, when you're engaging someone with a developmental disability, why would you want to demonstrate patience? Why is that important? Well, I think the main reason why you should demonstrate some patience is because you just don't know. You shouldn't create a, we should not, we as a people should not create an expectation that someone is going to comprehend us and understand what we're talking about when they do have a developmental disability. I don't, it's the issue is sometimes as human beings, we get used to engaging and talking to one another. And so with that, we inadvertently, we create an expectation. And when you're talking with someone who may think a little bit differently than you or can comprehend a little bit differently than yourself, uh, you have to be aware of that. So it's an awareness. And that's why we have to show etiquette in the sense of, all right, I'm not going to just think that this person's going to automatically know what I'm talking about because I'm using words to communicate. That's not the case. Um, Ask for preferences, meaning, what do you prefer? How do my tone? Um, what should I say? Um, do you prefer sign language? It's just, there's so many varying ways to communicate. And so when we just think there's just one method, it's best to just say, well, let me find out first by asking a question. Or, as I say in the next one, ask direct questions with diplomacy. Um, Ask questions, ask people what they want and what they prefer, and do it in a way that's not patronizing, but it's diplomatic in a sense to where it doesn't make the person feel less than. It gives the person an opportunity to share with you, like, oh, I'm thank you for even asking. I consider that. Thank you so much. People, as people, we love that, right? Um, do not create an expectation when engaging. Going back to what I said earlier, you don't want to create an expectation and think that someone is supposed to understand you because you're talking or that you're communicating. Um, and I'm really mindful of this when I'm engaged in the public. For instance, when I'm on the 513 relief bus sometimes, and I come across a person with a developmental disability, um, they may not right away, and this particular person may not understand what I'm talking about when it comes to understanding eligibility. So I have to pretty much to the next one, I have to meet them where they are. I have to communicate with them in a way that they understand what I'm talking about so that it could benefit them. I remember this one gentleman, this older fella, I say seasoned fella. He said, when you're talking to people in general, use layman's terms. And this is for all of us. Sometimes using big words and when you're trying to demonstrate your intelligence and that you're really smart and you have this extensive vocabulary, sometimes you lose people with that. Just make it simple and plain. And that's for all of us. So it's not patronizing. It's just maybe just talk to me in a way that we can all understand. Um, Make sure to presume that the advocate is competent. So with that, we can't automatically assume that they don't comprehend me well or they're not smart enough to comprehend me well. And I use advocate real quick, a quick disclaimer here. I use advocate and person with a developmental disability, they're interchangeable. So they're synonymous. So if you see advocate, that's what I'm referring to. Um, when you engage in an advocate is you don't want to use a language like where you're talking a different way, can you hear me, or like you don't want to talk like that because that's very patronizing. So for us as professionals in the workplace and just abroad, we have to just really understand and meet the person where they are and engage them in. And really, I believe in energy. I don't know if people believe in that or not, but you can get like a vibe from someone and you can kind of just tell, you just sit with them and you hear them out and you pay attention. They pretty much would tell you how to engage them. Um, there's another example where I was working with the family and I went out to the house and I had an opportunity to see uh, DSP engage one of the advocates, and this advocate would be deemed nonverbal. Um, does communicate, but not like we do with our mouth. He does communicate though, and when he demonstrated that he was tired, or he was ready to leave, or he wanted this, he wanted that, the DSP was so in tune to the individual that he picked up on what he wanted without the individual saying to him what he wanted. And that's when it comes to us as professionals, we have to sometimes sit and just really see what the individual wants and what they're looking for and what they're asking or what they're saying by understanding, like, okay, you don't communicate like I do, but you do communicate. And I need to be mindful of that and I need to look at that. Um, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. All right. Understand your biases and self reflect for enlightenment. So, and you see here, I'm telling myself to give an example. That's for me. So don't, if you want to do that for yourself, that's fine. But this is for me. Understand, sit with you as a person, as a human being. And we're bombarded with all kinds of images each and every day on television. We see things through social media, and we have to sometimes ask ourselves, am I being judgmental? Am I being biased? And am I being a part of the problem? It's okay. It's okay to self reflect. You want to be accountable, and right. So you don't want to be in a situation where you just, this is what I know, this is what I think, and I'm just going to run with it. And you either deal with it or you don't. That's not the way to be, especially when we're working with advocates in this professional realm and their families. And it could be taxing for us as professionals. We may have families that may be really upset about certain situations and different things that come up, but we have to remain professional, kind, and just and patient, and making sure that we're not allowing our biases to interfere with the work that we do, because the work that we do is really, really important. I hope I'm not sounding like a preacher because I know Sunday was yesterday, and I'm not a preacher at all. I'm just someone who really loves the work that I do, and I know that it's important to treat people well. Um, And this one right here, I really like this one because um, ignore any subtle sensory overload. So someone who is deemed, we say now recent, neurodivergent, or someone who manages autism, if you see anything that you don't typically see from a person, uh, like any kind of movement or jerk or anything like that, from it's not for us to highlight that because why? That's how they're managing their day. That's how they're managing themselves. So it's not up to us to say, "Hey, why are you doing that?" Or to make them feel some way about that. Maybe we should just sit and observe and watch them and communicate with them, and then eventually we'll find out ourselves why this individual is engaging or doing whatever they're doing. It could be self-soothing. Many times there's a lot of it. I remember um, seeing someone rocking back and forth one time. And I asked one of the professionals, I was younger. I was like probably 9 years old, and I was wondering like why this young man rocking back and forth. And his caregiver told me, well, that's the way the young man self-soothes. It makes him feel better. And so rather than highlight that with someone when they're doing anything like that, it's best just to ignore that and just engage the person for who they are. Um, Please do not take it personal. Okay. So I have a story. So one time I was talking with a gentleman, he's a young guy, and his mother had reported to me that he was having some outbursts. And this young man is neurodivergent. And he was having some outbursts. He was becoming frustrated. He was having some anger issues. And I talked to him one day and I said, "Hey, how you doing? What's making you upset? Let's talk about it." And he shared with me just little annoyances throughout the day, that gets to him. And I shared with him, okay, what can we do to help you when it comes to when you're feeling annoyed, how to manage your anger. And we went over that, and he was great. He was receptive. So, and this is funny. And so a few days later, I called him. He answered the phone, and I say, "Hey, how you doing, young man? How's things going with you?" He said, his response was, "I'm doing okay. I'm a little angry and frustrated right now." And I said, "Oh, why? What's wrong?" And he said, "Well, I was getting ready to walk towards the swimming pool. I have my swim trunks on, and it's really hot out here. And you called, and your phone calls really made me upset." I said, "Oh," I said, "Well, thank you for explaining that to me. And please go swim. I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean nothing. I didn't, And he was just like, "Okay, thank you so much." And he hung up the phone. And did I take that personal? Absolutely not. Actually, I thought that was phenomenal. The fact that he used a coping mechanism that I had just talked to him about a few days prior. So I was just like, "Oh man, it worked. It just worked on me that day." So it was fun. But again, when you see certain communication styles or that some of our peers may have, it may be a little different for us in the sense of like, oh man, they're kind of like, it's, but don't take it personal. They may say things in a way that's precise. That's how they think. That's how they communicate. They're not trying to harm us. It's just that's their method. That's how they do things. And so, I have another story too where I have a relative uh, that is an advocate, and I was telling one of my family members, like, "Hey, try not to become so upset when she's engaging you like this. It's not personal. That's just the way and the method that they communicate." And because my family member really took that to heart, like, why have to say it to me like that? It's like it's not to harm you. It's not to harm you at all. It's just the way that they communicate. So as professionals and as uh, people that's working in this field, we have to be mindful not to take things to heart all the time. Again, I'm not trying to preach either. Um, is it okay for me to ask if anyone has any questions or comments at this time? Is there anything in the chat, Sadie?
We're good in the chat, but it made me think of this podcast I was recently listening to.
Hmm.
And it was an interview with an autistic woman. And she explained that she thinks that neurotypical people lie all the time
Hmm.
because she is so literal and direct that, see you later or have a nice day or, any of these niceties where it's some social norms for a neurotypical person is a straight up lie to her because she's
Hmm.
like, I'm not telling people I'm going to see them later if I know I'm not going to see them later, so it is really interesting to me. Just something as simple as that, how it could be perceived or taken differently um, for people who have brain differences. So just like the young man who was like, I'm mad at you for inner what? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just, but it is just something where you can just take a step back and say, wait, what's happening here, and just with this little bit of direction and or these examples, you might just thinking like, wait a minute, it might be a brain difference. It's not, again, it's not personal, um, but it's just somebody is thinking and processing differently. So anyway,
that's
that was what I wanted to share.
awesome. Thank you, Sadie. Also, too, when you're talking with an advocate, and make sure that you're not, if they have their companion with them or their caregiver with them. And my director, Eric Mesker, he's really big on this. Make sure that you are engaging the advocate and the companion or the caregiver as well. So, for instance, I had a meeting on Friday with an advocate and within a companion. And the companion was very, we talked a lot. And he was so kind that he even asked the advocate, "Are you okay with me speaking on your behalf in this instance?" And she would say, "Absolutely." And so I was mindful to not just engage her companion or her caregiver. I was also mindful to also engage her. Does she have some limitations? Sure, absolutely. But it doesn't mean that I'm just going to talk to the person who's caring for her and just ignore her. And she really appreciated it. And I was very mindful. I'm not giving myself a pat on the back. This is practice. Um, because, we're kind of taught that, throughout the year, especially in the school system, school setting, when you're talking with parents, you're not really talking to the child, right? You're talking to the parent. And so that style, that method has been adopted to some degree when it comes to this world. And we have to be mindful not to do that when it comes to the people we serve, that we want to engage them as well and make sure that they're a part of the conversation as well. So it's really important because we don't want to get in a situation where we're undermining someone based on their limitations. Yeah, they may have limitations and they might not be able to have the conversation like we can or do what we can, but it doesn't mean that they need to be ignored. That's just not the way to do it. I hope I'm not sounding preachy. I feel like I'm sounding so preachy, Sadie.
I was gonna say I've had that happen to me sometimes, um, either in restaurants or like they'll talk to the caregiver or someone I'm with instead of me, or or sometimes in doctor's appointments, like sometimes they'll address my because I like having my staff with me in doctor's appointments. That way, if I'm like confused or something, like the staff can explain it to me in a way I can understand, or they'll um, or they might, think of a question to ask the doctor that I didn't even think about asking. So I like having them with me just in case I need help. But sometimes I've had that happen where if it's a new doctor, like they'll address the staff instead of just addressing me. So that's happened to me sometimes too.
Absolutely. It's just, and I don't think it's ill will. I really don't. I know, like, for instance, Dr. Wong from the Freeman Center, uh, there she asks a whole bunch of advocates, what's the best way to communicate with patients? Um, and they explain it to her, like, you need to be mindful of, we may have something sensory going on. You may need to be mindful of that. You need to be mindful. And I mean, they went down a whole list, and she was so thoughtful and mindful to say, "All right, thank you." And one of the main things they said is, if we come with our companion or we come with our loved ones, do not ignore us. Be mindful of us. So, Courtney, I'm sorry that you had to experience that, because Courtney, and I'm not patronizing you here, but you have a voice, and you need to be heard just like anyone else, right? So it's we need to be really cognizant as a society, not just as a profession, but we need to be mindful of the fact that people don't want to feel undervalued at all. So that really hit me hard when when Eric Mesker, my director, used to talk to me about it. I said, wow. So I put that into practice. Do I always get it right? Will we always get everything right? Well, no, because we're human, right? But as long as we're knowing, like, okay, I made a mistake today. Let me correct that. Let me do better next time. That's why that counts at the end of the day, that, we have a opportunity to redeem ourselves. I'm going to go to the next slide. Any comments or suggestions or anything? All right. Okay, why is disability etiquette important? To create a supportive workplace environment, culture, and society. We all need to understand the basics and embrace the opportunity to learn and update our knowledge. It is our right to treat each other with respect and dignity. That's our right. Everybody always saying, "This is my right. This is my right for this." It's a demand, right? I have the right to do this. I have the right to do that. Yeah, you absolutely do. But you also have the right to be kind. You have the right to be respectful. You have the right to be patient. You have the right to demonstrate, and I'm not a preacher again, the fruits of the spirit. You have the right to demonstrate that and showing love and kindness and peace to everyone. And because you may think that someone may not think like you do or see things the way that you do, it doesn't mean that their role in life is diminished, because they may not speak at all. They may be nonverbal. They may communicate differently, or they may look differently, or they may talk differently. It doesn't mean that their role in this life, in this society, is diminished. They have rights just like we do. So I think that it's not even a we do. It's just we are in this thing together. So it's not even a separation, really. At the end of the day, I don't look at it as that. It's really a thing of where we're all here on this planet together, and we need to learn each other, understand each other, and not be so quick to see the differences, but focus more so on the commonalities, what we have in common. And I promise you, what we have in common is way more pronounced than what's different. I mean, we all need to breathe. We all need water. We all need to eat. These common things that we all share. We all need to feel love and protection. Uh, we all need to be dignified in a sense of where we want to be in life and have opportunities to succeed. Those opportunities need to be afforded to all of us, because we're human beings at the end of the day. So I feel like I'm being so preachy. Please forgive me if you feel that way. I am not a pastor.
We're all going to come to your service.
Oh my goodness. Okay. The importance of community support. Our roles, and I'm speaking on the behalf of Courtney, and Courtney, please hone in anytime you want. Our roles has given us the opportunity to foster community relations and partnerships throughout the county and state, and collaborative efforts have created opportunities for professionals and families alike. So we share ideas in the sense of, you're able to not just be in Hamilton County DD services or be at Butler County. Just the fact that I'm here in this meeting, this is a community partner. RAAC is a community partner of ours through UC. So, and we have ideas and we want to share these ideas and we want to come up with anything that we can to best serve the community. So we're real big on not being siloed. And I think that back in the day, maybe back like in the 70s, 80s, maybe even 90s, entities were more siloed. But now we're getting away from that and we're understanding that we have to be in this together collectively. I said share ideas. So, and an example would be mini homes. So I do this thing called Futurist Now every 2 to 3 months. And it's really fun. It's a 4-part series where we help families really plan a future for their loved ones. And it gives families an opportunity just to sit down, relax, and say, all right, my loved one deserves to have a great and wonderful future with me and after I'm no longer here. It sounds morbid, but it really isn't. And one of the things that we talk about is the housing options that Hamilton County DD offers. And one of the our providers, they talk about mini homes. They're empowering. I think Mark is on here too. I'm losing the name, but they offer mini homes. And my point of mentioning this is that many people do not know that there's housing options out here, that there's varying housing options for your loved ones. People sometimes just say, well, when I pass on, my loved one is just going to live in a group home setting and that's all to it. But there's so many things out here. And you won't know this unless you come or collaborate together to say, all right, this is what we're offering. This is what we're doing. So I use many homes as an example. It's a great idea where you can see if where you live, your home is zoned for this. But in most homes in Hamilton County are where you can actually build like a mini home in your backyard, and your loved one, if they want to have their own space, they can have their own space right there in the backyard. And that's just one out of many. Create options for advocates and their families. What I've learned in the last 6 years of working with families and advocates is that they want options. And options are wonderful for them because if you just only have one option, that sometimes causes people to say, "Ah, that's it." Just like for us, anybody, if when you go out to eat, when you want something to eat, you don't just want to eat the same mundane thing every day. You want variation. Well, when it comes to resources, it's the same approach. We want options, increase resources. So maybe Hamilton County DD, we offer 1, 2, 3, 4, but then when we have someone that we're collaborating with, like RAAC, they offer 5, 6, 7, 8. It's really important. I mentioned Futurist Now, where we share this information, and also Butler County, they have their version of Futurist Now as well.
Yeah, I
And
was
it's just
gonna say
yeah,
that's kind of example of us working together because we worked with you on that and we kind of took like some of the things that you guys were doing but then we made it our own too. So that was really neat that now we have our own pictures now, but we got that idea from you guys. So
well, I mean, we're collaborating, right, Courtney? And so I mean, it's like, and you're right. You guys, I saw Jenny Mann is on here as well. They took Finn and did something completely different with it that's still beneficial for their population, right? So it's like that's why community support is so important. I wanted to really quickly highlight. I know we're probably running out of time a little bit. Covenants of Supports was created by one of the families that we serve, and Marsha Phillips is her name. And it's an opportunity for families to formalize the people in their loved one's life to say, I am going to make a commitment to be a part of your loved one's life while you're here and after you passed on. And it's really wonderful. If you check out our website, you can look into it, or you could just call me and we could talk about it. So I wanted to throw that out there. And just real quick, this quote: "The more we see advocates living a life that they deserve, without prejudice and judgment, the more we can thrive as a society. So when we're looking at things in a righteous and great way, the better we're all off. It's not just the people that we serve or the advocates, it's all of us because we're all in this thing together. I probably need to rush this because I went past the time, Sadie. I'm sorry. Okay,
You're
here
good.
are here are some of our partners. Obviously, advocates and their families. We partner with Children's Hospital, obviously, RAAC, Greater Cincinnati Behavioral Health. Why? Because me and the families that we serve, or the individuals, the advocates we serve, they may have a dual diagnosis where they're managing their mental health as well. The Freeman Center, that's who I mentioned before, Dr. Wong. Cincinnati Public Schools. Cincinnati Public Schools, we really are really broadening that partnership with them because there's so many families that their children are in school and they don't really know anything about us. And so it's our opportunity to share our resources with CPS so that they can learn about us and we can support those families. Job and Family Services, OOD, obviously, ESC, Burnside, and many, many more. It's really important that we don't remain siloed or segregated and just keep all of our resources to ourselves and just to our population. It has to be broad and we have to be connected. All right. Oh, is there something in the chat? Is there any questions or anything?
Yeah, Jenny said we talk a lot about loved ones network and how important the community is in having a meaningful life. Yeah, for sure. And I was just going to comment too, looking through the lens of supporting employers and community partners when they are hiring people with disabilities or interacting with people with disabilities. I think, Sean highlighting all of these different community partners and collaborative entities in the community, this is part of the awareness. There are these services and supports out there for not only the people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, but also the community. So that I just think that is really important to know that there are so many resources out there for people to make it work, to make us have this more inclusive society. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, we can't stand alone, right?
right.
All right, that's another quote. We embrace our similarity so we can understand our differences. I don't know who said it, but I tell you, that really resonated with me. So at the end of the day, we have to we understand that we're human at the end of the day, but our differences, we should really have an understanding. I won't say should. We need to have an understanding of our differences. And it's okay that there's differences. I have a unibrow. I don't know if anybody has noticed. And I inherited from my mother's side. So I don't have two eyebrows like most people do. I have one singular brow. And it's okay. It's different, but I'm grateful for all the people that I see each and every day that notices it and embraces it. And they don't highlight it like, man, you look like the guy from Bert and Ernie. There's nothing like that. This is just they just notice it and they leave it alone. I'm grateful to them about that. It's a difference, but you know what? At the end of the day, we're just human. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Courtney, um, anything you would like to say or talk about or suggest or anything?
Um, I don't think so.
Okay, okay. Appreciate you, Courtney. All
Yeah,
right.
we have a little question answer now for
Yeah.
Courtney if we want to switch gears here. So yeah, so Courtney is here from Butler County, DD, and what is your title, Courtney?
Um, I'm the community outreach advocate.
Awesome. And um, we've prepared some questions for Courtney and I have prepared some questions and answers. But if we have time at the end, we'll open it up to you all as well. And or if something comes up, feel free to drop a question for Courtney in the chat too. And Sean, do you mind unsharing? Is that a word?
It is now.
Unsharing your screen and just to make it more of a community setting here with Courtney. Okay, Courtney, what are some different jobs you have had over the years, and what led you to being a self-advocate?
So when I first started working, there was a summer work program through the Butler County Board of DD, and I participated in that. I think I was about 14. Um, I did cleaning through Barn and Bunk and Camp Camel Guard, and then through that same program, I ended up working at the at my Y, and I cleaned there and worked at the customer service desk, and I really enjoyed working at the customer service desk. So, one of the employees who worked at the board at the time, he helped me fill out a job application, and and then I applied and I got the job. So I was there. Yeah, in high school was when I think I was about 16 maybe, was when I was working at the Y, and I really enjoyed working at the Y. But when I got older, I wanted to be able, because my parents and I had been working towards me, moving out into my own place and into my own apartment. So, and unfortunately, the Y didn't have like the hours I needed, so I ended up getting a job at Walmart in the apparel department, and I had job coach, and they helped me, fill out applications and practice. When I did have to do interviews, they would help me practice interview questions and stuff like that. And then, so when I was working at Walmart, and I'm like moved out and everything. And then I so um I through Best Buddies, which is a organization that matches people with and without disabilities for friendship. I found about through my buddy Anna. She was telling me that Miami had a summer program, and it was called Inclusive University Program, and it was for a week during the summer, and we got to um take a college class together and stay in the dorms and like do fun activities in the dorms. And so Anna and I got to do that together, and we learned about well, the class we took was disability studies, so we learned a lot about disability history, and about how to advocate for accessibility. And I really wanted to learn more. So the professor who ran the summer program, like I came to her and I asked her, like, is there any way I could audit this class, because I want to learn more? And so she advocated for me to be able to do that. And so I was able to audit the class. And then after I did that, she asked me to co-teach with her. So I was able to co-teach with her and share my experiences with the students. And I feel like doing that program and learning more about disability rights and how to advocate for myself, I feel like that's what really sparked my interest in advocacy.
Absolutely. Wow, what a path. That is really a cool story. Thanks for sharing that. So, what does being a self-advocate mean to you? And how do you describe yourself in that role?
So for me, being a self-advocate means helping other families and people with disabilities learn how to speak up for themselves, and helping them get the resources they need. Also, sometimes it means speaking to legislators about issues affecting people with disabilities. And an example is, so when I first started working at the board, which was in 2019, April of 2019, at that time, we couldn't use Uber and Lyft, or our waiver to pay for Uber and Lyft. And now we can. And that was actually one of the things that I advocated for. So that was really neat to actually like see something I advocated for come to pass. But yeah, I talked to a lot of legislators about that and about being able to use Uber and Lyft, and now we can do that. So,
That's amazing. Wow.
mm-hmm.
That really is amazing. Okay, so is there something, or I'm sorry, what do you want people to understand about your life and experiences as a person with a disability?
um, I want people to understand that because of the supports I receive through my DSPs and my remote support technology, I can live on my own, in my apartment independently. I know not everyone with a disability can live on their own, but whenever I've talked to families through our Futures Now program, or just individually, I always encourage them to, let their child like try to do what they can do, whatever that looks like for them. And I also, so earlier I mentioned remote supports. So the technology I have, I thought this might be helpful to mention that I have fall sensors. I have a fall sensor in my bedroom and in my living room, and then I have a motion sensor. So if I get up at night and go to the bathroom, and I'm not back within 15 minutes, the THS, which is the company I use, will call and check on me and make sure I'm okay. And that technology has really helped me because I want to be able to, maintain my independence as much as possible, and I don't really want to have somebody having to stay with me during the night. So I feel like having that technology helps me be able to stay safe, and also, not feel like worried that something's gonna happen, because I know I have that technology to help me that way in case something does happen. They can help me remotely, and then they can call somebody if for some reason I had a fall or emergency. They could call somebody, and somebody could come to my apartment and help me.
That's amazing. Technology is so key as one of the supports to increase independence. That's really cool. So, what are some wrong ideas people have about people with intellectual or developmental disabilities?
Um, in my personal experience, I feel like sometimes people have assumed that I don't understand information, and I can, but like Sean was talking about, it just depends like how it's being said, and like kind of breaking the language down into I don't know if you've heard of plain language, but just bringing it down in a simple way that's easy to understand. And so I feel like that's really helped me a lot. And also when I was younger, um I didn't realize that the things that I struggled with were due to my disability. Like I knew I had cerebral palsy, but what I didn't realize is that I also have an intellectual disability. I have attention deficit disorder, and I also believe I have autism. And so like learning more about that has really helped me work towards accepting myself and accepting the things I struggle with, especially when I hear like either read books by other autistic self-advocates or like listen to their experiences on social media. I'm like, oh, so that's what that was. Like I didn't realize that's what that was this whole time. So it was like it was really eye-opening, like, oh, it was part of my disability. Okay, that's why I struggled with that, or that's why I do that. So that's been like really helpful. And also something I wanted to mention is in 2022, I was really, really struggling like after COVID and everything. And something that really helped me a lot was obviously like getting back into routine and stuff again. But also I went to speech therapy and that really helped me a lot with like strategies because to help me with my memory because I struggle with like long-term and short-term memory and just like remembering things in general. Like if I don't put a reminder or like some kind of thing in my phone, like it doesn't stay in my brain. So
Yeah,
um so
I can relate.
they just gave me different strategies and speech therapy to help me with my memory and other different like executive functioning things that I struggle with. And obviously my staff helps me with that kind of stuff too. But I'm saying that they gave me strategies that I could do myself. So that was really helpful.
That's awesome. And now with AI and ChatGPT and Copilot, you can literally upload something and ask it to rewrite it in plain language.
Hmm.
So, that's just like a little tip that I use a lot now. Just get rid of the jargon, extra words, just, keeping it just straightforward. Um, Super helpful. So just a little tip that I've
That's
learned as
really
well.
cool. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I know. It's it's amazing what these computers and bots can do for us now. Okay, so how do you feel about the phrase nothing about us without us? How does it apply to your work or your experiences?
Um, the phrase "nothing about us without us" means that if you're gonna talk about people with disabilities, you need to include disabled people in the conversation, and I also wanted to mention that in our self-advocacy group, we've gotten little tools now to help people with disabilities that can't communicate. Like we have our self-advocacy group is called Speak Up, and we have a pledge that we say every meeting that all our Speak Up members came up with together. And so we got these little cards that have both pictures and words on it. So if somebody can't say the pledge, they can hold up those cards and be able to participate with the pledge using the cards. And then we also have a little at the end of our speak up meeting, we'll have a people share good news, and we have a little paper that says good news, and it has both words and pictures, so that way somebody can point to their good news and instead of just relying just on their words. So I'm really happy that we are able to do that now.
I love that. And that just points to like, that's so simple.
Yeah.
It's so simple to be more inclusive. Adding pictures, using plain language. Yeah, it just kind of keeps going back to, this isn't rocket science, right?
Mhm.
This is respect. This is doing something simple to be more inclusive. I just love that example. Thanks, Courtney. So, what changes have you seen over the years when it comes to disability awareness, and what changes still need to happen?
Um, so when I was younger, like maybe elementary or middle school, like a lot of people were using the R word, and now that we had the like when I was younger, we had the campaign to erase the R word. I don't hear people saying that as much anymore. So that's been really good. And I feel like we've also I feel like we talk a lot more about inclusion now than we did when I was younger. So I feel like that's really good. And something we need to work on is we need to keep advocating for places to be accessible and keep educating others about the needs of people with disabilities and their families.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so similarly in that vein, how can schools, workplaces, or community spaces do a better job at making people with intellectual and developmental disabilities feel welcomed and valued?
Um, so for school, when I was in school, I really struggled with knowing how to make friends and understanding how to develop a relationship with a friend. Um, So best buddies, as I mentioned earlier, it's really helped me with learning how to develop friendships and like grow a relationship. And so I would really like to see more schools to have a best buddies program. Um, and it's not just friendship either. They also have a leadership opportunities as well. So it can help you both grow in relationships and leadership too. And and there's also so the best parties that I do, it's through Miami University. So I'm matched with a college student and we just go out and we do things together. Like we've gone out to dinner together, go to movies together, different things like that. And then there's another one in my area that we just started. It's called Best Buddies Citizens Chapter. So the citizens chapter is you're matched with somebody, like instead of being matched with a college student like you would be if you were going through university, the citizens chapter is you're matched with somebody else in your community. So that's something that I really feel like it's helped me a lot as best buddies. Um, and then when it comes to workplaces, so Um, I've had it. I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier. I've had a job coach to help me when it comes to work. They've helped me with filling out job applications. They've helped me with, practicing interview questions, and then in the past when I've gotten jobs, they've helped me learn the job. And then for me, what they would do is like, once they felt like I got the job, like that I understood, like, what I was supposed to be doing and stuff, like they would leave, but they would come back like every couple of months and just check on me and talk with my manager and see how I'm doing and stuff like that. And then now that I work at the Butler County DD, I have natural supports through my coworkers. So that's something that's been really nice is that I can rely on my coworkers instead of having to rely on an outside person. I mean, the job coach was very helpful, but it's been nice to have my coworkers to rely on too. And so Um, and another thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to the community is um um does that community spaces need to be more accessible? So last year I started using a walker to help me with my balance and getting around, and it's been really surprising to me to realize like how many places I've gone to that where they don't like outside of the bathroom, they don't have the little handicap button. And I have to rely on my staff to open the door for me. Cause the door's heavy. It's not like it's really hard to try to like, get push the walker and get the door open. And so I just been surprised at how many places like don't have the button. Cause that was something I didn't realize before I started using a walker. And also another accessibility issue that I've run into is that um some it's kind of hard to find out sometimes if places will let my direct support staff in for free because some websites say that and they'll have that information, but other places or other websites don't have that information, and so sometimes I have to call places and see like, do you do that? And so that's another accessibility issue that I would like, is that I would like, if possible, all businesses to do that, or at least offer like a discounted price or something like that. Cause you know, direct support professionals are there to support the person with the disability. So I feel like that would make it easier on them.
So true. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean these are great examples because I am sure that employers and community partners, I mean, it's just not top of mind. So it's, which is, it is what it is, right? But
Mhm.
bringing it to awareness, these are just great points. And I love that you shared about the difference between a job coach and a natural support. And that's really interesting because, um, you don't always need an outside person supporting a person in a job if in your own organization, you develop this framework where you can support one another.
Yeah,
And
like recently I've had issues when it comes to so sometimes I'll have community events, and but my staff is only with me in the morning, and then they normally come in the afternoon, like around 2 when I get off work. So it was really hard for the agency to find somebody who could come and take me to work events. So I talked about it with my boss and with my coworkers and with my support coordinator, and we decided that my coworkers could just, if I have an event that I need to go to during the day, that one of my coworkers could just take me, since it's, like I said, it's hard for them to be able to find somebody. It's so that, and we just started doing that, and so far I feel like that's really worked out and has really helped me. I mean, I still have to make sure that I tell, my coworkers ahead of time. That way they be able to arrange their schedules, and then if not, then I would need to reach out to my staff or my support coordinator, but so far it's been working out well.
awesome. That's great. Okay. What would you tell someone who wants to be a supporter to people with disabilities?
Um, I would say kind of what we touched on earlier, just make sure you listen to the person, and and if the supporter is helping somebody with a disability share a story, um, make sure um that the person with the disability is the one that's doing most of the talking, and then like the supporter is just there to like fill in the blanks or many missing details that the person might have missed, but it's mostly the person trying to suppose their story, especially when they, if they have to advocate for themselves. And another uh thing I wanted to touch on was, um, for me, when I've had direct support professionals helping me, I like to be able to do tasks together, because I don't want it to feel like they're doing everything for me, and I like it better when we're like doing it together, because I feel like that helps me feel more independent, and also like I kind of feel like I'm helping them out too a little bit. Like I don't know, I just like to be able to do things with them. So like when it comes to like doing my laundry, like I do what I can do, and then my staff helps me with like what I physically can't do. Like I have trouble getting, I have these big washers in my, I have a laundry room, and I have these big washers in my laundry room, so I have trouble getting the clothes out of the washer. So they'll help me get my clothes out of the washer and stuff like that. But I help them sort my clothes and stuff. And then like when it comes to cleaning, they'll do the more like physically demanding tasks like vacuuming or mopping. But then I'll do like the little things like dusting or cleaning my microwave or something like that. So I like doing that where we're working on things together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, and
You go
oh,
ahead.
and one thing I almost forgot about is that we don't do it as often as we used to, but sometimes I'll have team meetings with my parents and my support coordinator and with my the supervisor of my direct support agency, and we'll just discuss like here's what's been going well, but then here's some things we need to work on, and just like having those meetings has been really helpful, because then if I do have any issues with staff, I feel like they're addressed right away. And also I have a group text with my parents and my support coordinator and my direct support staff supervisor. So I use that group text to let them know about any changes in my schedule, like what my work hours are gonna be, or like on the weekends, I'm normally with staff the whole day, but if I have a family event, I might not have staff. I might only have staff part of the day. So just having a group text like that to let them know any changes going on in my schedule has been really helpful too.
That's great. Communication is key for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Courtney. Does anyone else have any questions for Courtney or Sean?
There was one thing I forgot to mention. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I wanted to mention that I also use a group text for transportation too, because I like to be able to go out and do things with my staff. But if it's farther away, it's better to let them know ahead of time. So that's what I normally try to do in the group text, is I let them know. Like I like going to Cincinnati Zoo and I like going to Kings Island. So if I want to go those places, I try to let them know ahead of time so they can be able to arrange transportation.
Excellent. Great. Well, thank you so much, Courtney and Sean. We really appreciate your time. Things that I got out of today are, again, really simple things that can create a more inclusive environment. But I'm hearing respect, just, plain old simple respect, and connecting and building relationships. Like that is also a way that we can improve our community and improve the workplace. And then resources. They're out there for us. And Sean and Courtney are two people who can connect you with a lot of different resources, and me too. So please feel free to reach out to any of us if you need some direction in supporting people with intellectual or developmental disabilities. We just want to keep creating more positive change in our community. So with that, I'm going to drop this survey in the chat. I am going to be emailing you all that survey as well. So if you've already hopped off, that's fine. Or if you don't have time to look at it right now, that's okay too. I will be emailing everybody this recording, the slides from Sean's presentation, and the survey link again. And we'll just keep rolling. The next the next session in this series is on May 19th. I will also include the registration link in my email to all of you so that you can get signed up for that next session. And have a great day, everyone.